There's nothing wrong. You're not stressed out. You're not upset. You're not depressed. You're not even super excited. You're just... Welcome to Life's a Trip and I Forgot the Map, the podcast that embraces the messy, magical ride of figuring life out. I'm Misty, your host, your fellow wanderer, and here we trade perfection for permission to grow, stumble, laugh, and start over. So grab your emotional snacks, be sure to buckle up, we're in for a ride. Let's hit the road. Hey, okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me. It's gonna be one of those days for me where you think like everything's gonna be fantastic and then little things start happening. Like I've already been so clumsy this morning and trying to get stuff done, and at the same time, I don't know if you have ever had this where you've got all these things you're excited about and you want to do and get done and get started on, right? And then you wake up and you're just blank. There's nothing wrong. You're not stressed out. You're not upset. You're not depressed. You're not even super excited. You're just blank. Just there. How do you get through that? What do you do with that? To be honest, I don't know. It's only happened a couple of times, and it's been happening this past week, or especially this weekend more than last week. Last week I was starting to feel it, but it's been happening more often like this past week. I'm just kind of like, because you get into those positions where at times we're constantly on the go. It doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're going or how you're doing things, but you're constantly on the go and constantly moving and constantly thinking and constantly doing something, and then you wake up one day or just in the middle of the day or something switches and you just blank. You're just blank. It doesn't mean you're burnt out. It doesn't mean that you're losing anything or becoming compliant or procrastinating. It's just your way of saying, I just need to sit for a minute. Let my body and my mind kind of regroup and rest. Just be. And absorb the moment, absorb the peace so you can move forward, right? I've been talking to a friend of mine, and she and I are looking for ways that we can work together to help get my business and everything growing and out there. And she said something to me, because I was doing so much when I conversation with her. I was doing so much. I was not only caregiving, I was writing books. Like, I've got a bunch of books in the works, because I will write a little bit in one book and then I will stop writing in that book and then I'll move to another book. So I'm writing in the books when I've got the inspiration for that specific story. And then when that inspiration or that thought process is finished for the moment in that story, I will let it go, just put it on pause and hold it. And then I'll go about my day, and then all of a sudden another thought and inspiration will come in, but it's about a different book. Then I'll go in and I'll do stuff in that book until that thought process is done, and I can let that go, right? And then trying to live life on, I'm single, so I'm trying to live life and cook and clean and do stuff not only for myself but for my clients and my dogs, take care of my dogs. And now my daughter and I are doing the 28-day wall Pilates challenge, and just there's so much going on a daily basis. I'm just doom, constantly on the move. And then over the weekend, well, like I said, last week, I just had this blank. It wasn't completely blank. It's like it was a slow oncoming blank, because I would still go to my clients. I could still function and think and everything else for my clients, and we'd go get their shopping done or whatever they needed to go do. And then I would come back and want to start doing my own stuff, and I just sit there and I was just blank. It was just nothing. It was actually kind of nice. But how do you deal with that? What do I do with that kind of... You let it sit. Sometimes we have to pull back and take that break. So when we come back to doing all our stuff, we're refreshed, a fresh mind, and we can move forward completely. So I'm slowly getting back into where I can feel it, where I'm slowly picking that back up, where I have a few episodes that I want to record. However, there are a lot of components and things that are going into these episodes. So I have to do certain things at certain times in certain places, and I'm trying to get those done so I could feel those inspiration and those ideas coming back, and how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that. And I have a book I'm writing because I want to enter another contest with this other book that I'm writing. So that's got to be done and turned in, submitted by the 31st of October. So that's coming back in. Like I'm wanting to start getting back into that. I can feel that thought process for that book coming back, and I can just go back in and start picking up. But a lot of times those pauses are necessary so we don't burn out, right? Because we don't want to get so tired of something that we're so burnt out and overworked that we just are physically hurting ourselves. I've been there, I've done it more than once, and I want to be able to keep moving forward and be able to create and follow my passion. That brings up another thought. Is I have a friend that he's done one job for so long that it was his passion. He's always done it. It's just his passion is what he's always done. He's always loved doing it. And now he's like, I'm so fucking burnt out. He said something like he's not even burnout. It's just burnt dead or something like that. He's just completely over it. And now he's having to reevaluate his life. And like I told him, because we're humans, we have to grow and learn and change, right? And we do that throughout our life. However, that doesn't mean our purpose stays the same purpose and our passions are always the same. They also change. So we have to learn and change along with those, instead of moving on with the same thing. So I'm hoping any of this makes sense. Believe me, I understand what you're probably thinking. Like, this is boring. Why is she talking about this? Because and like I keep saying, life is messy. We don't have a map. A lot of times we don't have the map. We don't come with instruction manuals. It would be nice if we did, but we don't. So how do we deal with that? What do we do? How do we move forward? Excuse me. We have to figure things out and what's right for us. And without going out and trying new things, we don't know what those things are, the right things are. But when that moment comes up that you have to sit and just be blank, embrace it. Because it could be setting you up for something really big to happen, really big shifts, or it could just mean that you really needed it. That you're doing way too much, way too fast, and your body's screaming at you, slow down, hold on, you're not behind, you're not failing, but we need to do this in the right timing. So when you're feeling blank, take that break. Until next time, love yourself, and remember, life is hard, but it doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun and interesting, but remember to give yourself those breaks. You deserve it. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Life's a Trip. If you're figuring it out as you go, same here. Hit follow, leave a review if you're feeling generous. And remember, you don't need the whole map. You just need the next step.